So, Lynn Twist starts this book off with a quote from a financial planner who works with people who come into money unexpectedly. Think about inheritance or lottery, right? People like that. This is who this guy works with. And here's the quote that she starts off the book with in chapter 1. He says this. His name is Mark Kinney. Money is like an iron ring we put through our nose. It is now leading us around wherever it wants. We just forgot that we are the ones who designed it. Oh, yeah, everybody's like, oh, yes. You know, money is an invention, really. Money is an invention. It's something we've designed to trade goods and services with. And the power we give it is the power we give it. In and of itself, I actually have this, it's a bookmark right here, so I'm going to take it out. It's only worth this. It's paper. I've had this $2 bill since 1976. It is worth exactly $2. Only because that's what we decide it's worth. Okay, the money itself, the paper itself, is really not worth anything. You may disagree with me if you have a lot of money in your wallet right now. But what I'm saying is that the reason it is powerful and the reason it has power is because we assign that power to it. As a human race, we have done a lot of destruction in the name of money. We have destroyed our environment and ecosystems. We've poisoned our rivers. We've enslaved other people. We've actually created laws that discriminate against people for our own benefit. And yes, we have actually killed other people, all in the name of money. It's a crazy thing. Even the Bible verse that some of us know, and some of us actually misinterpret, is 1 Timothy chapter 6, and we think that money is the root of all evil. But what the scripture actually says is the love of money is the root of all evil. The love of it, our lust after the money is what draws us off the path. Not money itself. Money itself has no meaning at all, except what we ascribe it. So, let me read you this, what Lynn Twist says. Money itself isn't the problem. Money itself isn't bad or good. Money itself doesn't have power or not have power. It is our interpretation of money, our interaction with it, where the real mischief is, and where we find the real opportunity for self-discovery and personal transformation. Well, how about that as it regards money? How about let's think about some personal transformation about money? And that's what I want us to do in this series is to suspend our beliefs about what we think about money, to set it aside, to take a deep breath and to not be concerned about it. In fact, I was thinking of one of our old mantras that we've done here before when we did the Hinduism and the Buddhism series. We said, leave everything as it is and rest your weary mind. What about if we did that about money? Just let it be over there. It doesn't matter about how much we have or how much we don't have, and let's just let it alone. And another thing we've talked about here is to create some room for a different idea about it. How about if we just do that? Does that make you feel just a little bit better right off? Let's just suspend that for a while and create some space for a new idea about money. You know, Lynn Twist is a phenomenal teacher. She has no financial degrees. She's never studied economics. She has no really credentials to talk about money except this. Everything she learned about how money works, she learned from running a nonprofit called the Hunger Project. And she learned by going to places where people had really no money to learn about how money works. Doesn't that sound paradoxical? And she says this, that she learned about money when she was able to set aside and create some room for her own personal transformation. She says this is what she learned, that money became more and more a way to express the longing and fulfillment of the soul. How did that happen, you say? Yeah. Like, how could she use money and our relationship with it to evolve at the soul level? Well, the first thing we have to do to evolve at the soul level is start exactly where we are. As we do with any spiritual work, we just have to start where we are. And Lynn Twist says that where many of us are is that we are swimming in conversations of not enough. We are swimming in conversations of not enough. And some of us don't even know that we are in that pool. But we have a mindset and a language built around scarcity. You're saying, do I? Am I one of those? Well, listen up to this list that she gives us, and maybe you'll find something that fits for you, or maybe not. She says that, remember, some of us remember maybe our grandmothers giving us these little, I would call affirmations. She calls them life sentences, which is really incredible. Like, marry the money and love will come later. Right? Marry the money and love will come later. Don't spend the principal, or if you have to ask how much it costs, you can't afford it. See, we have this underlying simmering thing going on. Or what about this? This is my passion. This is what I love to be doing, but I'll never make any money doing that. Oh, yeah, how about that one? Or maybe you have worked for money most of your life, but have been reluctant to ask for a well-deserved raise. Or stayed at a dead-end job rather than investing the time and energy in searching for a new one. Or getting training for a different kind of work. Maybe you enjoy an inheritance and feel entitled to family wealth, or maybe you feel guilty about it. Maybe you avoid balancing your checkbook or paying your bills because the black and white reality of those numbers says something you don't want to hear. Maybe you're afraid to assert yourself about money in relationship because you fear the repercussions. Maybe your financial fears keep you from asserting yourself at all. Most of our life sentences, most of our beliefs around money are the product of limiting language of scarcity and this mindset of scarcity that we carry. But here's the thing. We're all in our head about all of that. And when we're in our head, we're far away from our soul. And I'm going to say we are living a lie. Because scarcity is a lie. It's not true at all. What if you believe that? It's not true. We've just been conditioned to believe it. But it's not true. We have accepted these ideas as truth, and our ideas around money spring forth from there. Well, here's what I have to say. We all have a choice about what we believe about money. I have a choice about what I believe about money. Do you? Say that with me. I have a choice for what I believe about money. I have a choice about that. That's the truth. That is the truth. I have a choice about what I believe about money. That alone should give you a little ease if you are worried about this conversation or this series. Here's what happens is, Lynn talks about these, and I believe this to be true. There are 3 myths that we have about scarcity, that is where our ideas about money spring forth. 3 ideas about scarcity that are myths. What's a myth? It's simply a story that's not true. It's a story that's not true. It's a made-up thing. It's a consciousness, I would say, that is not true. That's what a myth is. It's just not the truth. And it's an invented thing. That's what the truth is about it. And the first myth is this, is that we believe, too many of us, that there is not enough. Simply, we are in this syndrome of not enoughness. That's where we reside. Listen to these ideas and see if these sound familiar to you. For me, and many of us, our first waking thought of the day is, I didn't get enough sleep. The next one is, I don't have enough time. Whether true or not, that thought of not enough occurs to us, too many of us, too much too often, automatically before we even think to question or examine it. We spend most of the hours and days of our lives hearing, explaining, complaining, worrying about what we don't have enough of. We don't have enough time. We don't have enough rest. We don't have enough exercise. We don't have enough work. We don't have enough profits. We don't have enough power. We don't have enough wilderness. We don't have enough weekends. And of course, we don't have enough money, ever. We're not thin enough, we're not smart enough, we're not pretty enough, or fit enough, or educated, or successful enough, or rich enough, ever. Before we even sit up in bed, before our feet touch the floor, we're already inadequate, already behind, already losing, already lacking something. And by the time we go to bed at night, our minds race with a litany of what we didn't get, or what we didn't get done that same day. We go to sleep burdened by those thoughts, and we wake up to the reverie of lack. The mantra of not enough carries the day and becomes our default setting for everything we think about. Now maybe you are in that extreme, or maybe you're not. Maybe you found something sounded familiar there. But what I'm saying is, it's not about blaming ourselves, it's about noticing that that's what's going on. It's just about noticing, all right? It's not about blame. That I come from that lack thinking first thing. This chronic sense of not enoughness that we have going on. This mindset of scarcity. Now let me tell you a story about myself. When I was writing this, I thought, oh my gosh, Paula, you know you fall here a lot of the times. My job, my other job, one of my jobs, is I'm a construction administrator. So architects hire me to work with contractors to build buildings, brand new buildings. And I just helped a local architect build a new gym addition out at Laney High School. It's a beautiful gym. I don't know if any of you have been there. And gymnasiums, when they're new, are pretty awesome. New paint on the floor, the mascot, colors, and it's amazing. But you know what my job is at the end of the construction period? Is to do what's called a punch list. And so what I do is go and look for every flaw that I can find in that building. I mean the paint that's peeling, and the door that's chipped, and the chair that has a little tear in, the stain on the carpet, the piece of bench that they didn't put in yet. I mean to tell you, lists and lists and lists of everything that's wrong with the building. That's my job. That's my job, to do that. And I think, God, Paula, how many times did you miss the beauty of a building? Because all you were looking for was the flaws. And that's what happens to us, you see. When we're conditioned to see the lack, that's all we see. And that's how we come from. There was a story on NPR, a podcast, called The Hidden Brain. It was broadcast on April 1st. And as I was preparing, like I said, these lessons, things pop up for me. I'm like, oh my gosh, look at that. And here was this story about how we get so focused on lack that we don't have enough bandwidth to even think about anything else. And they did an experiment. They did a starvation experiment, not to study the body and what happened, but to study the mind. And these people who were in this starvation experiment, they could think of nothing but food. That's the only thing they could ever think about. Whether they were in a group or if they were reading a magazine, the food that they had to eat, they couldn't focus on. They could only focus on what they didn't have. That's all they could do, was focus on what they didn't have. There wasn't enough brain bandwidth for them to focus on anything else. And that's what happens to us when we come from this lack consciousness, when we come from this mindset of scarcity. We have a tough time getting out of that place because we don't even have enough brain bandwidth to think about anything else. When we believe there's not enough, when there's not enough money, we get scared. We get scared and we think, you know what? There's not enough, so I need to make sure I have enough. And I need to go out and gather the money and make sure that I'm the one that doesn't lose. It's like playing with money like musical chairs. You know, you're going round and round and you know one person isn't going to be able to sit down, right? It's kind of a weird game. About it, right? I don't know, I was thinking about kids twisting their ankles and thinking like, what? Musical chairs seems like an innocuous name for that game. But that's what it feels like. We're so afraid of losing. We're so afraid that we're going to lose that we have to gather more to us because there's not enough to go around. Well, I want to tell you that's a lie. Listen to these 3 words. There is enough. There is enough. Myth number 2. Myth number 2 that she talks about is simply this. More is better. We think more is better. All of us do. And what that does, she says, is it puts us in a place of never being able to arrive. We never arrive anywhere because as soon as we get to where we thought we wanted to be, there's not enough and we want more. We need to have more because more is better. We want the bigger, the better, the most bodacious, whatever it is, we want that. And then we get that, and we go to the next one. And we never arrive. We never arrive. Our brain never stops working. We're looking for the next best thing and what I have to do to make it better all the time because more is better. Well, it's not. More is not better. Let me read you this. Do we really need to possess more than the other person or company or nation? Do we really need that? More oil, more land, more military might, more market share, more profits, more stock, more possessions, more power, more money. Do we really need more? Do we need or even really want all of the clothing, cars, groceries, and gadgets we bring home from our shopping trips? Or are we acting on impulse, responding to the call of consumer culture and the steady, calculated seduction by fashion, food, and consumer product advertising? Listen to this. Does a 5-year-old need more than a few thoughtfully chosen birthday presents to feel celebrated? Whose interest are we really serving when we give children far more than they need or even appreciate at one time? More is better is a lie. It prevents us from seeing the abundance that exists in the moment now because we're in the unending search in the future. More is better is a lie. The third myth is this. That's just the way it is. I think this myth is the most destructive, insidious, and toxic one that there is. It takes away our power. It takes away our strength. It takes away all the possibilities in our life. It is a lie that influences us to decide not to follow our dreams. It's the thing that justifies us giving up, throwing the towel in, and deciding that our dream isn't worth it. If that isn't insidious and toxic, I don't know what is. It's just the way it is not true. We think it is because we look outside of ourselves and what we see is not what we want, and we shrug our shoulders. We become indifferent. We become resigned and say, well, that's just the way it is. No, it isn't. And there are multiple stories all around us all the time of people who don't act that way at all, who see something and see possibility rather than giving up. And I want to share that story now. It's one that I blogged about this week. So if you read my blog, you're ahead of the game. It's one, if you listen to the local news or CBS This Morning last week, you heard about Jimmy at Jimmy's Bar down at Wrightsville Beach. Right? How many people know the story? Just a few. All right. Now Jimmy had a customer who, a few weeks ago evidently, or maybe a month, whatever the time frame, she lost her wallet at the bar. And in that wallet was her wedding ring, which was irreplaceable to her. And she called Jimmy and told him the story, and he was taken by her emotion, and he watched 3 hours of videotape that he had of his bar to find out where that wallet went. And sure enough, outside on a bench outside of the bar, this woman had left her wallet, and a young man came up, kind of sat down on the bench a little tentatively, and he's the one that took the wallet. Well, Jimmy ran him down. He came to find out who he was, and he found him, and he got him to admit that yes, he was the one that stole the wallet. He took the money out of the wallet and tossed the wallet into the channel. And Jimmy, having spent all this time looking for this, all the time watching the videos, all that stuff, decided he needed to hire a couple divers. So he hired 2 divers to find this wallet. And sure enough, there's a picture, if you watch the blog or watch the video from CBS Good Morning America, or not Good Morning, CBS Sunday Morning. You see the diver coming up out of the water holding the wallet. And he found the wallet. And inside the wallet is the wedding ring. Right there. He finds it. Well, he's pretty elated about that, but that's not enough for Jimmy. Jimmy felt compelled and felt compassion for the thief who stole the wallet. So he contacted this young man who wasn't hard to find. He was living in the woods, and he had been estranged from his mother. He had a hard time eating. He didn't have a job. And the short story is that Jimmy decided that he would take care of this 17-year-old, invited him into their home with his fiancée and 2 other kids, and now this young man lives as if he's the son of Jimmy. Now I ask you, that's just the way it is not a part of Jimmy's vocabulary. He did not look at those situations and circumstances and say, well, you lost your ring, that's just the way it is. Oh, the wallet's in the channel, well, that's just the way it is. Oh, you're a 17-year-old who's had a hard life, well, that's just the way it is. At every turn, he decided that that wasn't the way it was. At every turn, he decided to see something different and then to act from there. So I'm telling you, that's just the way it is a lie. It's not the truth. Not by a long shot. And right here at Wrightsville Beach, we have a man who showed that it's a lie. So I'm asking you this week to think about these 3 myths. That that's just the way it is, that more is better, and that there isn't enough. Recognize how you are with those ideas in your life. Just notice. This is not about a judgment, about, oh my gosh, I do this, and oh my gosh, I do that. I've already admitted what I do at my job. All right? Always looking for the negative. Seeing that. But just notice, because here's the thing. Awareness is the first step to enlightenment. And so next week we're going to talk about sufficiency. But it's important, as Lynn Twist learned, to understand my relationship today in order for it to transform. I need to accept where I am today with it in order for it to be different. And so that's your only homework, if you call it that, is to notice, to become aware of how you are as it relates to money or as it relates to life. Yes, can you do that? Yes? Yeah. All right. That's good. And next week we'll talk about that scarcity, or sufficiency, all right? All right, so let's get ready for meditation. And let's give ourselves a break here. If you found something in the words that I shared from Lynn or that I shared that you feel kind of queasy about and not particularly proud of, let that go. This is about simply noticing, becoming aware, so that we have the opportunity to transform. So we're going to breathe in and breathe out. And just simply be with ourselves. To leave everything as it is and rest our weary mind. I was reminded of another affirmation that we've used here before last night. Isn't that interesting? When you're seeing yourself respond, you can say to yourself, huh, isn't that interesting? Open up that space for yourself to become aware, to be present, to open up, to feel the support and the love from within, to be perfectly okay and right exactly where you are, right here, right now. nothing because a wise man said it. Believe nothing because it is generally held. Believe nothing because it is written. Believe nothing because it is said to be divine. Believe nothing because someone else believes it. Believe only what you yourself judge to be true. So with that wisdom from the Buddha, let's begin to open our eyes and to become more conscious of this space and time, grateful for the time we've spent together, noticing, becoming aware. Isn't that interesting? And to rest our weary minds. With a deep breath in and a deep breath out, we can truly and confidently say that we are grateful, and so